Got up to leave again, and Tammy goes, "Nuh-uh, girl, sit down."
Yeah, just wait.
Let's go.
When you come in from
For a year, over a year, 2.5 years.
I mean, I wasn't upset by it. I always just thought it was funny because I was like,
They're really working on that drainage ditch down there, aren't they, Bob?
yeah,
Bob, they made some progress over there today. Ditch.
Oh, yeah, he's been getting after it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Eric caught me this morning driving by. I didn't drive by.
Frank recuses himself from something. I end up, because he's done a lot, I guess he's done so much criminal work.
oh, he's been down on Kirk Street too.
Yeah, I saw him too.
Oh, the first one was St. Patrick's Day.
I went home for lunch.
Is that a guild? Is he really Irish?
He looks like it. Redhead.
Sure, one time.
he's one of the youths. I hadn't seen him before.
But he's one
Oh, wait.
Utility locator for USIC.
Yeah, it's a.
Oh, so he's employed and doing the job and we're gonna kilt. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought it was just like a fun.
No, see, the first time I saw him, it was St. Patrick's Day, so I thought it was fun. And I've seen him repeatedly since then. And I was like, hey, I bet it's cooler.
Single five meeting, I guess. No quorum.
I went to church with a Scottish family and the men all wore the kilts.
Yeah, I mean, I brought him up and was
You
going to
gotta
buy
remember
one.
to turn this on. You have to be responsible for me.
Okay, I've never done it, but I
Special meeting didn't turn on.
Published. We've done everything.
Sarah, do I just push the record button on a special meeting?
Turn it on first. It's on the side. Like other side. Yeah, you gotta like pull it down. And then you hit record.
Good, how are you?
Okay.
Let me write that.
How are you? Good, how are you?
Nothing's changing on it, the rate stays. Well, always bring my laptop and I'm never getting it out. It's like my son.
We think this says a chair.
Do your feet touch the floor?
They come up.
Nice.
I didn't have to go get a book.
Somebody's being a smart one.
I know. Not very well. That's at least true. So I'll probably go ahead and sit on my foot because it's okay.
I can't. My jeans are starched. We're not gonna wrinkle the starch.
Hey, you get that anyway. I know Justin is just in case we ever need it. Oh, okay, sure.
I love how Bob always reminds me that we're being videotaped.
My questions.
Videotape it every day. With video cameras in her classroom.
Okay, good.
Hey, that saved me.
I was gonna say.
Just no.
Well, you pull a little slide down.
Yeah, I need to go get my prescription sharpened just a little. I had about, I don't know, 2 pairs of glasses.
Ready? Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mayor.
Here.
Yes, ma'am.
Sarah. Justin. Aaron.
Let's all stand or pray. Father, we just come to you now. We just thank you for this great country that we live in. And we thank you for this great city that we live in. I thank you for all the people that are present. I pray that you put your hand over their families and bless them. I pray that tonight you help us with wisdom and discernment as we make decisions that affect the citizens of this city. In Jesus' precious name, I ask these things. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What's this country? All right. Motion number 4, motion to enter into public hearing regarding proposed operating budget for fiscal year 2022-2023. Staff report.
This one's a little different because we're actually needing to go into a public hearing
Okay.
on the budget. So at this point, we need a motion and a second and a vote to enter into.
It.
Yeah, it's a little different.
I'll make a motion that we enter into the public hearing regarding the operating budget.
Second.
Autumn? Yes, ma'am. Sarah?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, motion number 5, public hearing, proposed operating budget for fiscal year 2022-2023.
I don't know if there's anybody here to speak.
Okay.
I mean, it's good.
Anyone here to speak about the budget?
I've been through it all.
Okay. Motion to accept number 5. So,
I can go over the budget or hit it on whatever you want me to do.
I'm happy with it.
Or there's another agenda item, I think.
There
as
is. Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for the operating budget of 2022-2023.
I second that.
Autumn? Yes, ma'am. Mayor?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
All right, consideration and action on consent agenda. Any of the commissioners want to pull anything from the consent agenda? Staff, anyone? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Autumn? Yes, ma'am. Sarah?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Public appearances, petitions, communications, and personal appearances under Oklahoma law. The city commission members are prohibited from discussing or taking any action on items not on today's agenda.
Did anybody sign up? No. You could just say, no one signed up and move forward.
No one else signed up? We have some guests here tonight, so I'll make it sure. Okay. I make a motion that,
You're right, we don't have to sign up. What do we do?
To speak.
you want to sign
We
in to
don't
speak?
have the form, yes, you're right. We're gonna get that. Sorry, go
The,
ahead.
the copy I have is not an official form.
I couldn't get it formatted right, so we're not quite there yet,
Okay,
but we're working on that.
all right. So I make a motion that we accept agenda number 9 and move on.
We don't need a second
Give
for
me
that.
the motion.
Okay.
Number 10, consideration, discussion, and possible action to reappoint Judge John E. Hummel Jr. Staff report.
Staff recommends reappointment of Judge Campbell.
If council would like, I could give just a little overview about what we're doing. Make it quick, because I know y'all have a lot of budget stuff coming up. I'm the municipal judge, sit in this courtroom on one traffic docket on Monday nights, or Monday afternoons, usually runs 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours. Handles a lot of the traffic tickets and some misdemeanor type drug crimes. I also handle the juvenile docket once a month. Usually that's, it varies depending on the time of year. Usually it's 5 to 12 cases. Sometimes there's some reviews. That one actually has been really successful, especially if the resource officers catch the kiddos early on, and sometimes we can help them out a little bit and make sure we check their grades and attendance and have write a report or catch up on some grades that they may be missing or homework, and try to keep them with their peers so they can graduate. It's been really tough the last couple of years with all the COVID going on. Kids have too much time on their hands and not the structure. But it's all been pretty rewarding. Judge Shaw, who I believe is up next, handles the traffic dockets and the trials, and he does his on Wednesdays of the month, just once a month. So it seems to be a fairly successful forum for folks first that come in, and if they legitimately have a challenge to a ticket, it's a chance to voice their concern, have a trial if they need it. Most people usually, though, just accept they are doing the deed and need time to work out a payment plan. So that's kind of an overview. I know you have the budget information on how much we usually receive on an annual basis. So it's actually a fairly sizable court system considering the number of times that we meet.
So you said you have like between 5 to 12 juvenile cases, is that a month or?
Yes, a month, and I said a month. We actually do the juveniles only 9 out of 12, maybe it's 8 out of 12, 8 out of 12. We have some, we don't, right around Christmas time we cancel one, and then there's another one in July. We just found out we don't need quite that many. I suppose if we had more kids getting in trouble, we could go ahead and add those back on, but right now we're able to process them.
Okay.
You know.
That is real good.
Okay. Anything else? Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Motion that we reappoint Judge Butch Commel. Did I say that last name right?
I usually say Camel, but Comel's
Okay, Camel, I got you.
I'll second that.
Mayor?
Yes.
Autumn?
Yes, ma'am.
Sarah? Yes.
Consideration, discussion, and possible action to reappoint Judge Sidney Wade Shaw.
As Judge Camel stated, I preside over 2 dockets a month, the last 2 Wednesdays, and if there are any trials, I would hear those. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve here. I'm more than willing to continue to do so if you all see fit to appoint me for another year.
Staff report. Okay. I make a motion to reappoint Judge Shaw.
Second.
Mayor?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Autumn?
Yes, ma'am.
Number 12, consideration, discussion, and possible action to approve the agreement with Dennis McGrath to provide general legal services as city prosecutor at a rate of $125 per hour with extraordinary costs and expenses to be reimbursed to the prosecutor. Staff report.
We're asking to table that to
Table it?
next month.
Okay.
We're having some scheduling issues.
He wasn't able to be here.
Well, no,
Court wise.
court scheduling.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Jamie. I make a motion that we table this to the next meeting.
I'll second.
Mayor?
Yes.
Autumn? Yes, ma'am. Sarah?
Yes.
Now to the budget. Consideration, discussion, and possible action to approve Resolution 7, 2020, adopting the City of Perkins operating budget for the fiscal year of 2022-2023 in the amount of $5,004,014 and $189. Staff report. I mean, we had a special meeting on it, so.
Yeah, we had a special meeting on it, and I sent out a budget message that I wrote that was fairly lengthy a couple of weeks ago. Some of the high points, the total budget is $5,417,189, like you said. That includes for general government, or what we call Fund 01, $2.3 million. Public Works, $1.8 million. Capital Improvement, $629,000. These are round numbers. PIDA, it's only $3,100 in the budget, and that's for the auditor. Territorial Plaza, Fund 06, $47,000, almost $48,000. Bond debt to pay on the general obligation bonds is $538,000. Library trust is $35,000, and then bond construction, there's $5,000 left. So included in the budget is there's a couple new positions that we want to add. The first one, in no particular order of importance, would be the a Class A licensed water and sewer operator, work in public works, that would handle all the chemistry type things. That's a highly skilled position. So that's included in the budget. We also want to add a deputy city clerk that would work directly underneath Rachel, try to relieve some burden, and there's a million tasks that person could do. One of the main ones would be doing all of the meeting stuff, so everything's done the same. Right now we have 3 or 4 staff members that go to different public meetings, and it would just make it flow better, make it easier on everybody. And then Park and Rec Director, there's funds in the budget for that, to bring that position back in-house. There's a 2.5% increase in salary for all employees, excluding myself, in this budget. And there were some targeted raises to get some salaries competitive. Capital expenditures, some things we're budgeting to do would be to remodel this room a little bit, more especially to put a little insulation in the wall so the modified exhaust doesn't interrupt the meeting. Yeah.
Hey, it wasn't me.
$20,000 to the new library project, purchase a truck for public works, purchase a mini excavator, standby generators for one of the wells, more valves at our wastewater plant, a SCADA system, which is the computer system that runs it. Our plant's 12 or 13 years old, so a lot of things are starting to wear out. It's a pretty rough environment. Adding a storm siren, wildland firefighting gear, bunker gear, and then a police vehicle would be added into this budget. We ordered a police vehicle, as you know, in this fiscal year. We will not receive it until next fiscal year. I understand that the manufacturers of vehicles are focusing more on retail sales versus government and fleet sales.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. We have enough in our fleet right now, even after the guys get out of FTO, for them all
Barely.
to be vehicle?
Yeah, we won't have a choice. So what we'll do is in the July meeting or August meeting at some point, we'll do a budget amendment to bring that money from this year into next year, so we pay when we take delivery.
And our valves, they're okay now, they're just wearing out?
They're worn, and they're very expensive because they're actuated. There's motors that turn them, so there's basically a butterfly valve with a motor on it, and they're getting worn. One of the problems we have is getting them. So
There's a problem getting them?
So, yeah, we had that problem with, we replaced 4, I think, and it took months to get them after we
Well,
ordered.
we can get in a truck and go get them if you want us to.
But I think you gotta go across an ocean. Possibly, that's the problem.
Do we want that new position in place before we put in these valves, or it doesn't matter when we're?
It doesn't necessarily matter. The valves will be contracted out.
Okay, I
We'll
got
have
you.
a contractor come in. So in doing all this stuff, our surplus funds are identified in the budget message that I prepared. So you're gonna, after this budget, if you choose to adopt it, which I'm recommending you do, you're gonna have a general fund surplus equal to 20% of the budget. 464,000, that's Fund 01. You'll have a public works surplus of about 34% of the budget, and you'll have a capital improvement and public safety sales tax surplus in the amount of about 85%, percentage-wise. So that's pretty remarkable where we're at now from where we, in 2012 when I got here, they were trying to make payroll.
Or even where we could be, so appreciate that.
And it's not me, it's because Rachel won't let me buy things sometimes. But
Thank you.
there's some pretty heated arguments on need versus want, things like that.
Did I remember having a conversation or reading about adding a police officer though?
It would bring the 8th,
That would bring it back.
yes,
Okay. I wanted to make.
which we have right now,
So with the 2 new ones, we're at 8.
and we're gonna lose one.
Okay.
I believe he's gonna I believe we have one that's going to pursue another opportunity outside of law enforcement. I'm really hoping not. I don't know that his mind's totally made up, but
So we have no time frame on when that might happen?
he's thinking.
Okay. I had to
So if there's
find-
any questions or concerns, or
Not from me, sir.
I'd be happy to try to address them.
Ladies?
I'm good.
I make a motion that we accept the operating budget for fiscal year 2022, 2023.
Second?
Mayor?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Agenda item 14. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
This evening.
Good evening.
Agenda item 14, consideration and discussion regarding the Kirk Street Avenue project with project manager Michael Taylor, Calvin Group Engineering.
Michael contacted me a little while, this afternoon, and said he was unable to make it due to a scheduling conflict.
Okay.
He did, we talked about the project. The project is substantially complete. There's a punch list. They'll come and do a project walkthrough at some point this week or next week, I'm not sure. And then I would expect project closeout next month at your regular meeting, assuming everything goes like they think it will.
Do we need to schedule a special meeting before that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't be prepared to do that because I'm not sure what's going to be on their punch list. And I want to.
So we're tabling.
I know he's not here, but I was very upset last month, and I'm more upset this month with the project. And I just wanted to put that on record that I'm very upset about it, and I was really hoping that he could answer some questions tonight, but just wanted that out there.
I can try to answer questions if you'd like me to. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you.
I'd rather not put you in the middle of it. I'd rather ask him directly.
Okay.
So we need to table item number 14.
Just no action.
No action. Okay.
I know when we tabled it earlier, I was
I got you. Okay. Item number 15, consideration, discussion, and possible action to approve maintenance agreement with Signal Tech in the amount of $1,380 per year for 3 signalized intersections, and then 2 flashing lights for Perkins Tryon schools. Staff.
We do this agreement every year. It's a maintenance agreement. They come out and check on everything. We have battery backups on the signalized intersections, so they check the batteries, replace batteries, clean things, make sure everything's functional. I would recommend keeping the agreement.
Do we foresee needing any flashing signs over at the new intermediate side of the road and beyond? Is it just a school zone sign? I've seen the school zone signs.
The only thing that's been budgeted was school zone signs, because at the time we had the ones put on Highway 33, there were about 20,000 set, and I think they've gone up quite a bit. And the other issue, we've kind of kicked around a little bit, there's no speed limit change. It's 25 anyway, you know what I mean? So,
I was just curious since it was new.
yeah.
I'm happy with where it is. I just was asking that question because I know out on 33 it's got to have.
We are adding some more signage, school zone signs.
Okay.
In fact, we added one yesterday or today. They're not flashing, it's just school zone speed limit, 25.
Make a motion to approve? Sorry.
No, you got it. You're fine.
I'll second.
Sarah?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor?
Yes. Agenda number 16, consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding the process for selection of members to the Parks and Recreation Board.
I think there's been some, well, I don't think, I know there's been some concerns about how people are selected for boards. So the goal of this would be to identify a process how is the commission going to select people to serve on a board? Like, for example, take letters of interest or something for, well, this one's for the Park and Rec Board. And then have people apply or send a letter of interest or whatever you all decided to do. And then they could come in and talk to you and decide who's going to be appointed. And then you all would make that decision.
I have spoken with the members of the Park and Rec Board. There are 3 on there currently who would like to remain. Do you want their names?
Sure.
Kaylin Allen, Pierce now. There's Megan Douthit and Marnie Moody. Mr. Clay wanted to decline because of time and new job, but he's still more than willing to volunteer for the Christmas lights when that time comes. Miss Edwards was very unsure, and I have not heard back from her. I have a handful of people who are interested, but I did not feel like that should be my decision alone. So that's why I asked Mr. Ernst to put that on the agenda so that the commission could decide together as how we wanted that to happen. I do realize, I think that filling it with 4 right off the bat, we'd have to stagger their times.
Do you have any direction here, Tammy, on like what other?
Thank you.
Did we need, or at least should have looked at the ordinance, are they staggered terms?
Yes.
Yeah, when they were first appointed, they were staggered.
Yeah, so when they get appointed, whoever they fill.
They would just serve
they
that
finish
term.
the rest of that term, and then they would be reappointed when the term should have. So if there's 1 year left, they'd be reappointed for 1
There's
year.
7 people, there's 7 people with 3-year terms. Okay, so,
I think they're in groups, I don't remember, there's like 3, there's 3, 2, and 2, I think. So, but 3 years each. Does that make sense? So 3 would end in 2025, 2 end in 2026, 2 end in 2027,
But
for
I don't know
example.
that it matters for the purposes of this discussion on how to get names.
yeah, that's something we have to look at, so that's true. Yeah.
I've heard some people say, well, why are they considered, and I don't know who the names are. But, I had somebody walk up to me today and say, why are they considering this person instead of this person?
And that would be exactly why I thought it needed to come to the commission and not just be,
So
because
that-
as the commissioner, we can reach out to people and suggest, and then listen to them.
Or
That's-
take letters or take whatever.
Totally agree with that. That's why we're here today.
Or you could also appoint a subcommittee of a couple of you to meet with people and then make recommendations to the commission. So we don't tie up unless you want to do an open meeting. It's up to you.
Yeah, I would like to call it a special meeting. I want to get it in place before the next June meeting, or attempt to get it in place before the June meeting. Simply because I want to take advantage of the people who are willing to volunteer.
People can always volunteer.
It's ma'am, but
Um,
it's a hot topic right now, so I'd kind of like to
Strike
attempt.
while the iron's hot.
Yes.
Well, you could do both. I mean, you could request letters of interest and then have a subcommittee who deals with the letters of interest and interviews those people and makes a recommendation. You could,
I mean, we could still have a special meeting, I'd rather not have it the first week of June, because that's difficult with getting ready for this
But
meeting.
I'm gone,
And you're gone.
if it matters.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it matters.
or what other, if they send any other ideas of comments?
I would recommend taking letters we can advertise it somehow or take letters to this specific date that you set. And if there's a committee of 2 commissioners,
What happens if we do not get enough letters
I have no
for the
idea.
open spots?
I have no idea.
That's why I'm asking, because it's one of those like,
Well, it could be an email, right? We're saying letters.
yeah, an email is great. I just
think
wanted to
email-
have a plan in case, we have
Good
4
idea.
spots, we only get 3 emails.
Well, I have a list of 6 names.
And if we can get to 5, they can function.
And if you have a quorum,
Quorum.
you're okay.
Well, and there's nothing that says that you can't solicit people. You can't go say, and that's why this process seems like maybe it would be a good one. You can always say, hey, I think you'd be good. Why don't you send in a letter of interest? You know, so you can
Correct.
always go out and try to rally people.
Because it's our job to appoint them.
But, and not that it's necessarily a legal opinion, but if someone has to sit down and at least write an email, then they're probably going to show up for meetings.
Yeah.
You know?
I just wanted to make sure we had a plan if we didn't get what we needed.
Yeah, you can definitely go.
It can be 5,
recruiting.
it can be 5 to 7 on the Park and Rec board. So if we just get a couple, then we've got a board. So,
7's better. You really should have a full board. It just means, you know,
But at least, I mean, like for right now.
You just have to shake the bushes, try to find more.
and that's the case with all of your committees. I mean, your boards.
so would we be able to have a special meeting like May 24th or 4th of June? Is that too stressful to get it together?
Hold on.
What would be the purpose of, are you gonna appoint a subcommittee to deal with them outside of a meeting, or do you want it dealt with in a public meeting?
I would think a public meeting.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion. We've got other people here to consider.
I think
I just want to be as transparent as possible.
I want to be I agree.
Well,
I just also don't want anyone to have hurt feelings either. Like, I don't know who's on what list or who doesn't. If someone has an objection to somebody else, I don't want it to be a small town controversy over who doesn't like somebody else or somebody can't get along with this person. And so I'm just giving a perspective here.
What do you see as
I don't know
subcommittee?
if a subcommittee would be more beneficial just to at least present them to the commission so that the commission can then make a decision from there. I don't know. It's just another
No,
perspective.
I'm totally open.
But we get to vote.
Right.
So,
The subcommittee would bring the names to the
yes,
commission where they could vote.
everybody could vote, and so
Right.
the
Yes, ma'am.
majority would.
I wonder if there is any, if that opens the door to a possibility of some sort of slander or suggestion that if the public's watching and somebody says, I don't think so-and-so would be very good because they never show up to anything. Is that slanderous? I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
So
That's
what would
my
the subcommittee?
that's my fear is that
Stuff.
exact situation of something like that.
Doesn't it all boil down to that's why we have our vote? I mean, we don't have to explain our vote. So if we don't agree, then somebody would just say no.
That's why I'm saying, like, if you did a subcommittee first, though, and you had those hard conversations where nobody would feel alienated or could possibly get hurt in a conversation, the subcommittee would come to the commission with list of names, and then it could be a yes or no vote straight with the commission on who
Or
was
the
elected.
commission could, along the same lines, the commission could also ask those applicants that the subcommittee ranked or something further questions at that meeting, whatever.
I mean, I don't care. I'm just trying to keep hurt feelings out of situations. Is all I was trying to accomplish. But I see what you're saying. I mean,
That's hard for us to control.
it is. But no, I agree. But I also
Things more for us.
I just was trying.
So what do you see?
One thing you could do is, and this makes the process a little more complicated, but if you have them submit letters to the subcommittee could take the names of whoever, or even the written applications, and provide them to the entire commission. Now, I've got to think about the Open Meetings Act, but you could provide them to the commission for comment, and other commissioners could respond to the subcommittee with, okay, here's my concern, this person never shows up to a
Both
meeting.
of them though, right?
But-
Or one of them? To the subcommittee.
If it's a two-member
If
subcommittee-
one person talks to them, then that's 3.
You're right.
So they can only do, like, one person could be the communicator, right?
So-
Yeah, it would have to be, you're right.
I have a question.
And that's the whole reason you have a subcommittee, so you're not having those interactions. I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
If we just simply take the emails that are presented to us in a form of a questionnaire, like do like a Google form and say, you know, like, why do you want to participate? What do you think your strengths are? Whatever the questions are that we would put on this, can we not do that in the consent agenda, almost like the city manager report? We all get all of those
You can
emails.
always get all of the applications.
But, and then
It's
we
just
can
doing
read
it.
those in private, and if we have questions, I mean, we
You
could,
would do what with them?
well, you would ask them during the meeting to that applicant if you felt like that was gonna be a problem. I mean, you would have,
Or you would talk to the city manager.
yeah.
But, so maybe that votes or argues for not having a subcommittee, but just having
Regular meeting,
a
or
regular
a special
meeting.
meeting,
Where we get-
where we all talk together after seeing the applications for the board members, and then moving forward, voting publicly
Yeah, no, absolutely. I
on
just,
who we think we should appoint.
I was just trying to keep the small town hurt feelings out of things as much as possible.
Well, if
I
they
know
don't,
there's not-
if
there's-
they don't get appointed, then we
Just
can try
don't-
again.
I know,
Or
I
there's
just
another
don't.
board that will lead them.
There are lots of ways that people can jump in and help and not necessarily be on a board.
Absolutely.
So,
There's truth in
and
that.
I'm sure we could find a place for them.
Like, you can do 5 to 7, so
So do we need to advise staff to create, or are we just gonna do emails alone? Letters of
Just submit a
reference?
letter of interest with references.
I think submitting a letter of interest in an email format and
Okay.
leave that up to them, what they would like to say.
An email?
And then I'll get the opportunity to read it. And,
Who do we direct, if someone is directed to the city manager?
Probably. Then I can send it out to commission members.
So can you help me with how to,
yeah.
where are we going here?
Say,
Your brain works really fast. Yeah.
that direct any interested parties to submit a letter of interest and email, sorry.
I'll make a motion that anyone that is interested in applying for a board, can we do it that way so it doesn't have to necessarily be Park and Rec Board?
We have another agenda item, so it'll have to be specific.
Okay, for the Park and Rec Board to the city manager. Are we going in the right direction?
Yeah, letter of interest to the city manager,
Letter of interest to the city
in
manager
email format.
in an email format to be communicated with the rest of the commission.
Or to, you don't need that. 'Cause
Okay.
We'll know what to do with it.
So,
Well,
But yeah,
okay.
Might do hand delivered or email.
that's true.
Just so you don't leave
Just
somebody
delivered.
out.
Delivered.
All right, delivered.
City manager at cityofperkins.net.
Good gravy.
For-
I can't keep this straight.
Okay, how about direct interested parties to send a letter of interest to the city manager by a deadline determined by the city manager.
Okay, well, that's not what
Or by 1 week.
Via hand delivery or email.
So I don't know. I am so lost now, Tammy.
I have anyone interested in
Tuesday,
applying
Tuesday.
for the Park and Rec Board, submit a letter of interest to the city manager. Can we work with that piece?
Can we work with that, or do I need to redirect
how
that?
about May 20th, due by May 20th?
No, because this is for forever.
Just-
This is your policy.
Okay.
So next year you would just keep this policy in place until it's changed. This is a policy decision. So don't say anything this
Okay.
year, but you could say, I just didn't know if you wanted to say a deadline, like by a deadline determined by the city manager.
If we're wanting to,
By the city commission.
By the commission,
The commission needs to determine the deadline if we're deciding who's
for
gonna.
the letter of interest.
Yes, if we're deciding who will be appointed, the policy should be entirely to the commission in terms of how it will be submitted, in what format, and then when the deadline.
Okay, so. You wanna do that motion?
I don't actually, because I'm.
Okay, does anybody?
I will do the motion.
I don't. You've walked me in circles, guys. I'm not.
I think we're getting there.
We are, but I think Sarah has a better grip on what we were.
Yeah, very good.
She's walked me in enough circles. I'm not sure where we're going.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I'm going it right.
So
I
before we seconded, do we
we
say?
don't have a motion yet.
I thought she was motioning it.
I will motion, but you were gonna say something, so I didn't wanna make a motion, because that
Appreciate you.
finalizes.
Yes, ma'am. That's why I was like, before,
Are you ready?
do we want to set a special meeting before June meeting to address this issue?
Okay, let's deal with that after the meeting.
So that's why my question was, I didn't want it to have a motion and then not be able to talk about that.
We can do that probably here, because this is something that we need to take action on more timely and aggressively. So I make a motion to direct City Hall to advertise that any letters of interest be delivered to the city manager via email.
Just delivered to
Delivered to city manager, where the commission will consider all letters and vote to appoint Parks and Rec board members at the next regularly scheduled or special meeting.
Nice job.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it appropriate to ask a question about the motion? Or the approval, yes?
Yeah, okay, it hasn't been seconded, but
Right.
let's make it, for point of clarification on the motion. Go ahead.
What's your intent with advertise?
We should put it on social media platforms and the website. And, okay. And any public bulletin boards, so some sort of flyer.
So that was just a clarification of the term advertise, but the motion remains the
I'll
same.
second.
Good job, ladies. Good job, Sarah. I'm ready. Okay, Sarah?
Yes.
Autumn?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor? Yes.
Can I just say that we've conceptually talked about subcommittees and what a great idea they are, but we just keep not doing them, and I'm totally good with that. It's gonna happen, at some point it's gonna be.
Keep trying.
It's gonna
Exploring it.
Yep, it's a good idea to explore. Anyway, thank you.
All right. Item number 17.
Do it again.
Set up precedence. Consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding the process for selection of City Commission appointed members 2 of the Perkins Industrial Development Authority Board. Staff report.
Same as, I don't know how many, we need 2? We need 2 members. How do you want to do it? Very much the same as the previous motion?
I think so.
For the purposes of the, we're being recorded, will you please give us a short synopsis on what this board does?
Perkins Industrial Development Authority Trust is governed by the 7-person trust, so it governs PIDA. A few years ago, ending in 2019, PIDA's main purpose is we owned a Red Bud Assisted Living Center, We have since sold that. So as of this moment, there is no real business with PIDA, but there has been, Commissioner Box has brought up some possibilities of, there's a litany of things that PIDA can do, like with economic development and things of that nature that are in the trust indenture. And there's been some interest in trying to, Commissioner Box has asked staff to research some different things. So it could, right now there's not a lot of work. In 6 months or a year or whatever it is, there may be some work.
So it'd be a great opportunity for somebody that was interested in economic development in Perkins
And serving their community, yes,
to get involved.
yes,
And there's 2 positions available.
yes. And they have to be residents of the city limits. Park and Rec Board, I don't know,
Does not.
off topic, but they do not have to be residents of the city limits.
Thank you.
And just a little more information on that. When you have an authority or a public trust, you are required to appoint and have have the commission, have the scheduled annual meeting, or the meetings scheduled annually, even if they're not currently doing anything. And dissolving a public trust is a huge big deal. And so I've had to ask before, why don't we just get rid of it? Because we're not doing anything with it. Well, it's a lot of work. And so even if we didn't have some idea that in the future we're probably going to use this, you would want to keep doing what you're doing until you get a lot more money in the legal budget to dissolve a trust.
I don't think anybody wants to dissolve any economic development, so.
Right.
In history, there used to be a Perkins Economic Development Authority. There used to be a PETA. I don't know why it was dissolved. I wasn't here. I have no idea. But then they turned around and formed PIDA.
Thank you.
I see the future and the scope of that being bigger than the Redbud situation. Okay. So we have that. I'm gonna write that similar to what we did with the Park and Rec Board.
It's the same language, we
Sarah?
just,
We'll just make that same motion.
Fine. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to make a motion?
go for it, sister, you did great.
Yeah, you did great.
I make a motion to direct City Hall staff to advertise for the 2 positions available for the Perkins Industrial Development Authority Board on our social media platforms, any public bulletin boards, and our city website for those interested individuals to submit letters of interest for the commission to review at the next regularly scheduled or special meeting.
I second that.
Sarah?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
There was a chuckle.
Y'all just have to remember what she does for a living.
Oh.
That's why she's so good at that. I wouldn't know they got HR.
Talk.
No.
She said-
Advertising for filling positions.
It's HR person, very good. Okay, consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding recreation program as facilitated by Stillwater Area Sports Association, otherwise known as SASA.
I was notified by SASA they're not interested in renewing the contract with Perkins.
Did they give any indication why?
Nope.
Do we want to know why? We just,
I just got an email that they weren't interested in.
I read that, thank you. So we just make a motion to accept this agenda item,
I
or
don't
we
think
just,
you, I think you
or we
could
just
just do no
no
action,
no action?
right?
I was trying to find that.
Well, what are we gonna do about Parks and Rec and Perkins?
Well, the first step is to get that board together, in my opinion, and then,
You approved in the budget, there's a Park and Rec director position that can be filled.
So we could direct you to advertise for
I
that
don't think-
position?
I think I'd do that just by administrative and whatever, I'll have to fill it, because I don't know of any other options.
are we allowed to tell people to go apply or?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, tell might be a strong word.
Is that position open July 1st then, since it's on the,
5th? It's the 5th, same as
No.
the deputy clerk.
What I would like to do is open the position sooner to be able to put somebody in place on July 5th.
okay.
So they start.
That's what I was
July 5th.
asking, yeah, that's what I was asking, I guess, without
5th
having,
because it's,
Tuesday.
because of the holiday.
Yeah, it's like Friday's the first, so that makes no sense. But it's ready. It's actually sitting on Indeed, ready for after you guys approve the budget, so that tomorrow I can go.
we'll
Excellent.
advertise it much the same way.
Can we put that on things like Indeed and things?
Yeah, it'll be on Indeed. We'll get 40,000 applicants from Dallas, Texas. So it is what it is.
How about India?
Yeah. But we'll also put it on social media platform, website.
We can share it and do all kinds of things.
Nothing, okay.
Facebook has not typically produced any viable candidates ever, but it produces, I'm gonna tell you, it makes a lot of work. So,
That's why I felt like there was something that was, okay.
but I'm happy to put it on there.
I almost feel like word of mouth might, or suggestion,
Yeah, that's great.
people that we know around town, and tell them to go talk to Bob for questions.
Fill out an application.
Mayor, actually, on the, these items where it says consideration, discussion, and possible action, if it's determined that there's no action that's necessary, let me back up. If it says, if the agenda says consider and discuss, and we don't give you the option of possible action,
Okay.
then you consider and discussion and we move on. If it says possible action, technically you may want to ask if there's a motion. Nobody makes the motion. You say no motion, no action, and then you move on. Technically, that would be the correct way. I don't know that we've ever done it that way, but I just kind of thought we could start maybe.
So, anyone want to make a motion on that? Or?
Nothing.
And then no action. Number 19, consideration, discussion, and possible action to acknowledge and approve fire department's use of Payne County sales tax funds in the amount of $15,000 to make repairs to the ladder truck. Staff report.
It's to fix the ladder truck that needs hydraulic work. They'll have the work done in Pawnee. It's using county funds that are allocated to the fire department. It requires commission approval for them to access those funds. I would recommend approval.
We had to go to Pawnee to find that. We had to go to Pawnee to find.
There's actually a company in Pawnee that does a lot of fire truck work. And Chief Moore's used them quite a bit. That's who they're comfortable with. It's closest by far, by far.
I'll make a motion that we approve the fire department's use of Payne County sales tax to make the repairs on the ladder truck.
A second.
Autumn?
Yes, ma'am.
Sarah?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Consideration, discussion, and possible action to modify the use of CARES Act funding as determined at the regular meeting on November 9th, 2021. Striking the words and resurfacing playground areas and adding the words groundskeeping and ball field maintenance so that the use of this CARES Act funding would become $35,000 to parks groundskeeping for multi-year fertilizer and herbicide application program, groundskeeping, and ball field maintenance.
This is an agenda item I wanted because, and I spoke to Commissioner Boss isn't here tonight. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I did call him specifically because back in 2021, he's the one that, and I think the Vice Mayor was involved too with this wording of this agenda item. The resurfacing of the playground areas that we had discussed last year, it was financially wasn't feasible. So in order to open this up a little bit and allow us to do some more work to ball fields using this money, it would open it up for staff if it were to become multi-year fertilizer and herbicide, groundskeeping and ball field maintenance. Like, I want to order 4 sets of bases. I've talked to Jared at SASA about redoing the middle field at Dixon Park and the softball field, which he's, I believe, going to do before they exit on June 30th. So this would allow me to use some of these funds to do that, and we would still have enough money for herbicide and sandburrs next year. The following year, we'd use budgeted funds unless something else happens. But it would give me a little latitude in using this money.
Is that the dirt?
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate that. I make a motion that we change the wording on CARES Act funding as determined at the regular meeting on November 9th, 2021, and reword it to groundskeeping and ball field maintenance.
Second.
Mayor?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Agenda item 21, consideration, discussion, and possible action on selling city-owned property, specifically described as the north 15 feet of Lot 1, Block 3 of Perkins Town Company addition to Robert Vaughn in exchange for $375.
So this is a strange deal. A city lot in Perkins is 25, one city lot in the original part of Perkins is 25 feet wide and 140 feet long. So houses were built on 2 or 3 city lots. For some reason in 1903, 3 city lots were purchased and then broken up among family members. And then best we can tell, somebody didn't pay the taxes on the north 15 feet of the lot. So it went to sheriff's sale for taxes. A company bought it in 2009, abandoned it. It went back to sheriff's sale and was deeded to 15 feet by 25 feet right behind City Hall, was deeded to the city of Perkins in 2012.
Is that the one right behind us?
And now the people that live there, and she's here, want to sell the property, so they had a survey and everybody discovered, hey, the city owns part of their backyard. This is a completely useless tract for everybody except the owner of the property. So we got some comparables from public records, like how much does a lot sell for in Perkins in the old part? And then I sent those to her, and it was a little bit higher than this for an entire lot.
Okay.
This isn't an entire lot. She's offered $375, or the purchaser's offered $375, and then they do the paperwork. We just give them a quick claim deed. If there's an abstract to be brought up to date, the seller, the buyer, takes care of that, and I would recommend selling the property so they can make their piece whole again, and we all move on. If you have anything that I didn't cover.
That's basically all I came to say.
Come on up to the podium, please.
Oh, yeah.
My great,
What's your name?
sorry.
You're fine. What's your
You're
name?
fine.
My name's Kirsten Meads.
Okay.
Okay. My great-grandparents acquired the property back in 1988. It has been without the north 15 feet of Lot 1 since 1903. I'm not sure the history on that, as we have not been able to do an abstract update yet. We're not going to pay for that until it's in our name. We are ready to sell the property. We inherited it from my great-grandparents. It's in my dad's name about 10 years ago. He's not local here, so I'm here on his behalf. We do have a contract on it. Unfortunately, that north 15 feet is not allowing us to go through with the sale because it is inside of our fence.
And so we have been maintaining it and, under the impression that it was ours this whole time. The city does own that piece of property. In 2008, it was purchased by an LLC along with 25 other pieces of property for $4,500. They decided that they didn't have any use for it, and it was taken back for non-payment of taxes. They were not our taxes. So that is how the county acquired it, and then the county, of course, deeded it over to the city of Perkins. So with the consideration of the expense and the risk on our end as the buyers, we are going to be updating the abstract and doing title work in order to make the title marketable for a buyer. It's going to be about $1,200 for that alone. And then there is risk of not having clear title and having to do any curative documents or work or even quiet title suit on the other end of it. So we have decided to offer the $375. It's $1 per square foot for that piece of property because we feel like you still deserve something for it. But of course it would be put back into the lot as it should be. Inside that fence, it would be, included in the county tax amount, etc. So I'm happy I've got information, or happy to answer any questions if you have any, but that is our offer. Okay?
I don't have any questions. Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. Oh.
Okay. Shall I sit?
Thank you for coming. Well,
Make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Sarah?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor?
yes. Item number 22, consideration, discussion, and possible action to identify and possibly allocate funding towards a drainage project priority. Mr. Ernst.
So, last Monday, or I think it was Monday, when we had the flash flood, we got a significant amount of rain in a very short period of time. One guy in town told me he had 3 inches in his rain gauge after that rain. That's when the water was ponding on Kirk Street,
Was that ever classified as an actual flash flood?
not by whom.
By the meteorologist?
I don't know that they, not that I'm aware of, but I don't know if they do that. What I'm calling a
Just curious.
flash flood is a whole lot of water showing up at once, and so there was a bunch of pictures taken. We were trying to figure out what happened because of 4th and Kirk to 5th and Kirk, or what, almost 5th and Kirk. There was water ponding on Kirk Street, which has the new drainage in place. And a lot of water. I mean, it was ponding in yards and everything. So, I talked with Mike.
Sorry, to the point that we've never had ponding in some of those places ever before.
Yeah, well, as far as I'm aware. So I talked to Kearns Construction, and I talked to Michael Taylor, and talked to several other people trying to determine what happened. And there's a ditch north of Kirk Street that crosses, the ditch crosses 4th Street. There's a picture of it in the city manager report, not a very good picture, but it runs basically from the Territorial Plaza, the south side of the plaza. That ditch runs under 4th Street and then continues on to the south side of the apartments to Lover's Lane, where it turns south and eventually gets into 7th Street drainage. That, we found the eastern half of that ditch was clogged. There's 2 or 3 little land bridges with culverts in it in that ditch that were put in, I have no idea when, and they were clogged. I went and looked at them myself, and I unclogged one of them by myself, and our employees unclogged the others. There was also a previous resident of the city that had filled in part of the ditch with riprap and rocks and a privacy fence. So a section or two of that fence was removed by us with the owner's consent, which we didn't really need, but we needed to get it out of there. So and this is a 40-foot drainage easement. So then on Wednesday, I think it started raining again, and we got about 3 inches over, I don't know, a couple days maybe or something. And there was no, the water flowed. There was no ponding on any of the Kirk Street project that I'm aware of. So basically what we believe happened is that that ditch backed up, causing a backwater effect. It overtopped 4th Street, and that's where the ditch dumped, was down 4th to Kirk. It did go away fairly quick. It was deep, but I mean, in 15 minutes, I don't know, how long would you say it took? 15 minutes, 20?
I would have given it longer than that,
But it was gone. I mean, it drained. So what I would like to, we have about, I don't remember the exact number. We have some money left from the CARES Act that was dedicated to drainage, maybe like 35,000-ish. Well, I guess the agenda item is to identify what the priority would be for the commission, and then direct me to take measures to get the problem taken care of.
So you're saying to prioritize the maps that you gave us or the drainage issues that you sent us?
Yeah, well, where do you want to put the money is basically the question. Because, you know, Chantry Street at Woodlands and Clough on Main Street holds water. We have a plan for that. It's $25,000 estimate. That intersection is never going to drain quickly because there's 4 to 6 inches of drop in the whole block. So it's going to drain very slowly, but it would add some concrete. It seemed to me after reviewing, I mean, and I forgot Fairway. I sent another email about that. They have ditches that need cleaned. But the 4th Street ditch, what I call the 4th Street ditch, seems to impact quite a few people. And if we could get that cleaned out, I think that would mitigate any future issues.
So you're prioritizing the 4th Street ditch, and then the Woodlands and Clough on First?
I don't know that that's a tough call because, you know, Fairway Street has a ditch that somebody sent you a video of, and it's, one of the problems with that is I don't think that's a drainage easement officially. But they have ditches that need cleaned between the 3rd and 4th house, I think, on the south side of Fairway. And then the ditch on the south side of those houses on Fairway needs to be cleaned really bad.
So what does that cost to get the silt and clean those out? And I know it entails heavy equipment that probably some citizens don't want around there.
Yeah, yes, and it depends on, if you have to haul the dirt off, it's much more expensive to truck and haul dirt, especially when fuel's $5 a gallon. On the Thomas Street ditch, which they're doing right now, we got lucky because the landowner surrounding the drainage easement said, I'll keep the dirt, we'll just spread it out on my property, because he wanted to level some areas, so that was a big cost saver. But hauling dirt off can get expensive pretty quickly. So there's a couple of them, I mean, maybe, I just have to get bids. The 4th Street ditch, I think, would be fairly significant because of the trees and riprap that somebody brought in, and there's going to be heavy equipment, dump trucks, and we're going to have to find a place to go with it. But I think it's, you know, a lot of these ditches haven't been cleaned in a long time. Perkins hadn't had the money. You know, I don't think it was anybody neglecting anything necessarily. But the other thing people need to remember is drainage easements are someone's property. So just because there's a drainage easement, that's not the city's property. That's, somebody owns that property, the easement allows us to go over the top of it.
I have a few questions. So the Woodland and Cloth intersection, you said even if we dropped $25,000 on that, it wouldn't fix the problem.
It'll drain.
It'll alleviate.
It'll make
bit of the
it,
problem.
but it won't, like, just be gone.
Okay, and so in order to fix that problem, more of the entire street would need to be redone like Kirk Street. Is that correct? In order to fix the elevation, a longer amount of that.
It would take us, yeah, because you'd have to do underground drainage a long ways.
Okay, and then with Fairway, are these drainage issues with the culverts that go underneath driveways
No,
that are often
no, not on Fairway. It doesn't.
not on Fairway? But are some of the drainage issues?
Oh, yeah,
Except
a lot of, some of the drainage issues in towns, yes.
Okay, and so like I have one of those under my driveway, and so my driveway slopes down towards my house, and so there's big drainage ditches in front. It's my responsibility as a homeowner, correct, to keep that little culvert underneath my driveway clear?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that was on public record, that we could all be making sure that we're maintaining those culverts to ease drainage
Yes.
issues within the city.
And the city could be bringing charges in municipal court against people who fail to do so.
Absolutely, but we have
I'm
not done that
We should, or
historically.
I'm saying that technically you could. So yes, people should be maintaining their own.
And the other thing you run into is you can clean a ditch today and it's very sandy loam. Some of it's straight blow sand in Perkins. And then you get a big rain and it doesn't look like you did anything because all the sand from up there came down here.
Right.
So that's
It's
a
ongoing.
very real deal. But to get the obstructions out of the 4th Street ditch, I think is definitely a high priority to try to keep water from going south to Kirk Street. The way I understand it, Kirk Street was modeled and designed based on a 10-acre drainage basin. There's about 10 acres that drains to Kirk Street, with the line being that 4th Street ditch. That 4th Street ditch carries about 60 acres of water.
Right.
So if we can't convey that 60 acres of water from point A to point B and it goes down 4th Street, we have problems.
So, the one on First and Chantry, are you talking about making that turn?
Yeah, if we do the
Right there at the
Woodlands
corner
and
first.
Cloth, or when we do it, we'll have to come down to First, and then you'll have to turn the corner for the water and replace culverts, or install culverts, actually, in some of it, and then culverts under the streets to keep the water going.
I actually used to live up there, and it was monsoon. Half my yard was always, I couldn't even check the mail sometimes. So yeah, it's definitely an issue there as well. But thank you for explaining the 4th Street a lot.
And they're all very, very, they're all important.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And I forgot to bring the OSU engineering students that studied the 7th Street deal,
Is that the one that you showed me?
if you want to.
Mayor, maybe have a recess for 2 minutes while I run.
Yes,
Don't
absolutely.
run. Too hot.
So just pause.
Pause, there's the 2
Thank you
lines.
for coming.
Thank you for being here.
I don't see. Stop.
You could just hit stop.
Well, I didn't know if it would stop.
Stop recording.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it would, like, they would have, like, I didn't know if there was a pause and a stop.
Oh, it was just stop.
Are you gonna give them a set of handcuffs so you can win, like the Gaydon brothers?
Stickers will work. Hand him a baton. There you go.
Spencer could come up here and hold
This
this.
is office the other day.
Here, Spencer, would you like to do that, please?
It's amazing.
Kind of our version.
We'll start this.
This,
Are you ready again?
Yes, please.
That's gonna play back.
What we're doing. Stop.
You have to hit the red button and record.
I never thought I'd be in this position. Oh, this is the part of the report that the engineering students did, reference to the 3 culverts that come under 7th Street on the south end of 7th, a block north of Thomas. There's 3 culverts that need to be replaced, and all their calculations and what it takes to make something that will sustain time, and it's $512,000 to redo that. That's basically redoing a little bit of the ditch and then putting box structures in to drain water, and that'd be all the water that comes down from Methodist, from the high school, 33, Sharp Street, Newport, Methodist, through the park, and ends up down here in that ditch. And it's replacing those. So that's, and it, money doesn't go very far anymore. But that's one thing, and these are rotting. There's another sinkhole right there.
Another one?
And it's because the top of the culvert is gone. They were put in 30 years ago or something. And they're metal and they're gone. So that's another need we have. Thank you, Spencer.
Great job.
You did a good job.
Hannah.
Thank you for grabbing that, Rachel.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
So that's another example. I mean, we obviously don't have the money in hand to do that, but that is a priority.
Grants, are we,
There's nothing,
nothing out there right now?
not really, just for drainage. Now, if the raise grant we applied for, $2.7 million, that would, if that was awarded, that would, there's drainage involved with that would redo Lover's Lane and kind of connect that into the 7th Street, which would also help with the 4th Street ditch if we cleared it out. There's just, every time it rains, my phone just blows up with, there's ponding in the road all the way up to, there's a fairly major event, or water in people's homes. That's one of the things that started the Kirk Street project, was, they were building a new school out there. We knew there was going to be a lot more traffic, and we also knew there's people on Kirk Street that get water in their homes. So, I don't think it's that nobody wants to do it or do it right, it's just we don't have enough to go around. So, the thought on this agenda item was for the commission to prioritize where they want, where you want me to focus to try to do things. Whether, for years we've been piecemealing things together and do, clean a ditch here and clean a ditch there, and 500 here, 1,000 here, 2,000, and we've done a lot of good. There's been a lot of, there has been positive movement, but now this money's been allocated towards drainage, and some wording was changed previously to allow that, and we could, potentially, I could get quotes and get that whole ditch cleaned.
You're talking 4th Street?
Yes.
I'm trying to stay quiet on this topic because I don't want it to come across as I'm only pushing for things that affect my home to be prioritized. I will vote. I'm happy to vote. I'm trying to make sure that I am open-minded about the entire community and not just something that affects me and my home.
To be fair, Autumn and I have not had a conversation about this prior to this meeting. I would never put her in that position, and she wouldn't put me in it. And it's just, I believe the engineer and the construction people believe that 4th Street ditch overtopped 4th Street, and it's in a bunch of water, a bunch, quick. Now, it was a it was a huge rain. You know, we got 3 inches later in the week at a slower rate, and everything was fine. But we were hypersensitive to that ditch too. We've been cleaning it, and we just didn't know.
Well, if you say 60 acres of water, to me, I consider that a priority, and it's probably impacting a number of homes. Not that not every home in Perkins isn't important, but a larger number of impacted families takes priority to me.
Can I suggest that you table this item?
We don't have a
or
quorum?
Reword it, for him to maybe get some quotes, because you won't have a quorum
We don't have a quorum to vote on this.
to vote on this tonight.
Okay.
If she doesn't vote.
I will abstain from this vote because I
Or you
don't,
have a, should say quorum.
yeah, I don't want anyone to misconstrue my frustration with the project in my home and the results of that to affect current priorities. Like, I just don't think that's right for the community.
Will we still be able to get quotes for this 4th Street
Is this
job?
something you need?
Well, the Well, the cost, I believe the cost to clean the 4th Street ditch will exceed my spending limit, which is gonna slow everything down.
But if you get quotes on the next agenda, would that work?
As long as there's not a huge rain.
We can't give him direction to gather quotes and more information.
He can do that without direction from, without a specific vote.
So, if I was going to request a special meeting, and could we put it on the same agenda as the other 2 agenda items that we had discussed with Parker Rec and Pete Board? I mean,
I can.
that sounds like
I can do that.
3 very important things that we could
Talk about
and not have to wait a
More of us
month. And-
here.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
And allocate funds
As long as it's okay.
towards
Okay.
some 4th Street, which
Sound good to you?
exceed $30,000 or whatever.
I wasn't listening to your conversation, sorry.
Special meeting for those 3 things.
Yes, what?
That was my thought.
Like, everybody just has
No, we have not allocated yet. We were gonna wait.
we need to pick a date.
No.
Yeah,
Or-
no, that's,
or
that's,
any.
yeah.
I mean, I
I
can
just
move
was
on that one too, but
listening to
I
the
think
situation.
my recommendation would be the 4th Street.
Then let's put it on the special meeting.
Do we need to make a motion?
I have one more question on the 4th Street. Is working on that going to help alleviate anything that's going on with Kirk Street at all? Any of the flash flooding type stuff that happened with Kirk Street?
It is the hope and the belief that it would remedy it.
Okay,
Now, we can't remedy for every rain event. If we get a 0.2%, I mean, like a 500-year flood, I can't say that anything's gonna be remedied, I don't know.
well, you can't say that for any part of
But
town.
even if we get a, well, yeah, I mean, that's,
Right,
but I know it'll help.
okay.
It'll especially help with the draining time that this
Yes.
area will drain
Yeah.
to alleviate.
Kirk Street drained very quickly.
Mhm.
There was a ton of water there. I'm not downplaying that at all. I was there. And there's tons of pictures. But I would also say that water drained quickly, a lot quicker than I've seen it drain previously.
And if we fixed 4th Street, then it would drain even quicker
Well, I think you wouldn't have I was hoping you wouldn't have the problem.
at all.
Because I think Kirk Street will handle the 10-acre drainage basin that it was designed to, according to the engineering staff. And then 4th Street ditch, we bring it back to the way it was originally designed, it'll handle that 60 acres. And then if we get real lucky and we get the raise grant and we can redo Lover's Lane drainage and maybe do some sort of
That's going to benefit even more.
retention or detention pond or something, that would even benefit more. So it's just kind of, but, you know, I don't want there to be false hope that, well, you know, the city manager said this would never flood. I'm not saying that,
Right. Right.
because I don't know what Mother Nature's gonna do.
Right.
I'm just saying if you have a pipe this big, it doesn't flow a lot of water, and it, compared to a ditch that's 20 feet wide.
Do we need to make a motion to table that?
Can I just say one? No, never mind. I'm good. I'm good.
I make a motion that we table agenda item number 22 and consider a special meeting to address this. Thank you.
Is there a second?
I second. Me.
You can vote on this motion to table.
Mayor?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Autumn?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we need to set the special meeting at some point?
Can we do that in the next,
Should be able.
can we do this in the next section? New business. New business, under the Open Meeting Act, this agenda item is authorized only for matters not known about or which could not have been reasonably foreseen prior to the time of posting the agenda for any revised agenda. So, I'd like, maybe Tuesday, 24th, Rachel?
Let's
I-
make the room is clear.
That way you have, I don't want to put you in any more of a bind and pressure than you're already under.
No, I appreciate that. That it would be great. If everybody else can be there.
Is that good for you?
I can be there.
We can do that.
What time?
3 to 6, so we're not confused.
We have breakfast at 9. Just kidding.
What are the items that are going to be on that agenda from tonight's meeting?
I would like for them to tell me which
Okay,
items.
yeah,
That would
let's
be
do that one.
terrific.
I like to see item agenda 22. That would be what we just got through discussing, the drainage. Item agenda 16, Park and Rec Board. And then item agenda 17, the Perkins Industrial Development Authority Board.
It wouldn't be the exact, on 16 and 17, it wouldn't be that exact language because you've already
We've
set
already-
forth the process
correct.
that you would want it. You're talking about actually.
The subject of that.
the
Subject.
selection of members.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's 2 weeks. Is that sufficient time to follow the process that you put in place for people to
I'd like to think
get
so.
in their emails and, okay,
I can get everything
think
done.
it'll do?
Go into
Be
tomorrow.
okay with
I'll
that?
do it. I'll put it on Facebook and let them know as soon as we leave.
Okay.
I think like Sarah said, we put it on the website, social media, flyers, word of mouth. I mean, if they're really truly fired up and interested in bringing things back, then we need to see some action.
You want me at that meeting?
Yes, please.
Well, you made a motion for a special meeting, correct?
I did.
Did you second? Do
I haven't seconded yet. Do you want to go ahead?
Sure, I'll second.
Mayor?
We're so close. Yes, ma'am.
Autumn?
Yes, ma'am.
Sarah?
Yes.
Item number 24. I make a motion that we adjourn our regularly scheduled meeting. Sorry, I took a pause.
I second.
Mayor?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Autumn?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do it again.
Mayor?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Justin? Autumn? Karen?
Okay, you're calling.
Yes,
Zelda.
ma'am. Sorry, I was in the middle of the yawn when you.
Yes, I was calling the public notice agenda. I'm so sorry.
get ready for the Public Works Authority agenda? Okay. You got it? Gotcha. I had to get the right paper.
I'm sorry, I jumped the gun again. It's a bad habit. I'm gonna
It's
break
okay.
that habit. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay, dear. Consideration and action on consent agendas. Any commissioners want to pull something from the consent agenda?
No, thank you.
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda for the Perkins Public Works Authority.
I'll second.
Mayor?
Yes.
Autumn?
Yes, ma'am.
Sarah?
Yes.
Public appearances, petitions, communications, and personal appearances. Under Oklahoma law, the city commission members are prohibited from discussing or taking any action on items not on today's agenda. I don't. Okay. Is that just a no action?
Nobody's here, so
Eh.
yes, you can just move on.
Okay. Number 5, consideration, discussion, and possible action to approve the Perkins Public Works Authority operating budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 in the amount of $1,816,116.
Much the same as the previous meeting, it's, I probably covered the highlights, but
You did.
this is the Public Works
chart.
portion. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
We can turn that back down if you are hot. It's just
I make a motion, and unless you
I'm
guys
good.
have
Nope,
anything
you're
else to
good.
discuss, okay.
Nope, nope, nope.
I make a motion that we accept the budget for the Perkins Public Works Authority 2022-2023.
I'll second.
Mayor?
Yes?
Sarah?
Yes.
Autumn?
yes, ma'am.
Any new business? Mr. Ernst,
Not that I'm aware of, I'm sorry.
you want some spark?
I was in deep thought.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting of the Perkins Public Works Authority.
I'll second.
Mayor?
Yes.
Autumn?
Yes, ma'am.
Sarah?
Yes.
You do.
Call the next meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
We're gonna get in the habit, I mean, not.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm gonna work really hard.
I'm a rookie, sorry.
No, it's a new habit.
It is.
Perkins Industrial Development Authority. Call this meeting to order.
Mayor?
Yes.
Autumn?
Yes, ma'am.
Sarah?
Yes.
Justin? Aaron? Matt? We do not have a quorum.
No quorum.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So we cannot
That's the
pass
end
this.
of that.
We tried.
Technically, they could convene to reschedule the meeting.
I need to make a motion.
You don't need to adjourn because you never.
Okay, there we go.
Stop.
Answered my question.
Stop.
Sarah, thank you very much for your wording of those two
Oh, you do?
agenda items.
Did you even see my message?
I didn't even try to get up.
That's what I'm talking
It's
about.
time.
I already did. Oh, no, I think he's gonna stay right there.